Hey everybody, welcome to a video series called How to Practice. That's what I'm calling this. My hope is to make some videos that help us all as a worship team be able to practice and prepare during the week and be ready for Sunday. There are two reasons I'm shooting this video. One, I want us to keep getting better as a band, and I want you as a musician to keep getting better and better. I know that this will help us to sound better on Sunday. It also helps us engage more. Instead of being glued to our chord sheets and kind of just following along the music and not feeling comfortable, we can instead be engaged with the people and the moment and what God's doing in the room, and that's a better place for us to be as a band. At the same time, I'm mindful that we have lives, we have families and jobs, and I know that you can't dedicate, as a volunteer, 3 hours on a Saturday to practice your part for Sunday. So my hope is that through these videos, you can practice more efficiently and be better prepared on a Sunday. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what I think through when I'm approaching a song and how I figure out songs, knowing what to practice and which parts I have to be responsible for so that you can do the same in your practice time. And then I want to shoot a video of me kind of working that out on guitar and listening to a song for the first time and hearing it and picking out what I need to play so that you can kind of see all these principles in action. So let's get started. So here are things that all worship band members should do. First, listen to the song and figure out the dynamics. Where is the song quiet? Where the song is loud? Where are the build-ups? Try to get a lay of the land in your mind of where the song is going. Then the second thing is I listen and see if there are any parts where I don't play. Is there a certain point where I'm supposed to come in? This is really important for drums and bass. All right, bass players, after you've figured out the dynamics of the song and are familiar with it, I think of the bass as kind of 3 steps. 1, figure out where you're playing and where you're not playing. This is really important in worship songs. So many of them start out with the bass not in yet, and then there's a specific point where the bass enters into the arrangement, and then oftentimes there's a part where the bass drops out only to come back in again and add that dynamic element. So as a bass player, figure out where you're coming in and where you're dropping out. You got to nail those parts exactly. Then second, when you do come in, are you playing long sustained notes, or are you playing a more driving rhythm, right? Quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes. Figure out where you're playing each of those things in the song. So for example, there's so many worship songs where the bass isn't in at the beginning, and then we sing the first verse, there's no bass, then the second verse comes in and you come in right on that downbeat. And the bass plays long sustained notes through the verse, that second verse. And then at the end, they start driving a little bit and it launches us into the chorus where the bass is playing a driving 8th note rhythm. That's an example of, as a bass player, you got to come on Sunday knowing that I'm out at the beginning of the song, I'm coming in with sustained notes on that second verse, and then I'm driving to the chorus and figuring out the song in that manner. So those are the first 2 steps. The last step is to figure out, are there any parts where the bass is really interlocking with the kick drum exactly? Sometimes verses will have a kick drum pattern and the bass plays exactly with those kick drums. Be mindful of those and do that same thing. I often think of the kick and the bass as a team. The kick provides the punch on the low end, and the bass supplies the musical note and the sustain. And so when the kick and the bass are working together, that's what makes groove. That's what makes the band sound tight and makes people feel that rhythm. So always be mindful as a bass player to know what the kick drum is playing. So if you nail those three things, that's pretty much most worship songs. Now there are some worship songs where there's a particular riff that you can hear. Figure those out last. As you get better as a bass player, those will come easier and easier, but what I want you to focus on primarily is to play the right note at the right time in the right rhythm of the song. And here's why. If the rest of the band nails their part, but the bass player plays the wrong note in that chorus, the rest of the band sounds bad. right? If the bass player plays the wrong note, the rest of the team can't save it. So it's better on Sunday to come in knowing the whole song and know it well, and maybe just skip over that particular bass riff, rather than you spent 2 hours and you can nail that bass riff, but you're shaky on the rest of the song. So if you're prioritizing your time, be able to play every note right during that song. That's your first priority. Play them in the right spot and play them in the right way. And then anytime you have left over, work on those bass riffs, and those will come with time. So one of the most helpful things for me as well is to go to multitracks.com. When you go to that website, that's where I get the loops from that we play to on Sunday. And what you do is when you go to a song and you look it up, they play a section of that song, and you can solo out particular tracks. So you can solo out the bass track and listen exactly what the bass is playing. And sometimes this is helpful for me during that chorus where every instrument's playing and it's hard to know exactly what the bass is doing. And that's a little trick that I use, is to go to Multitracks, check out the bass part, and see if there's anything that maybe I can't hear when all the band is in. But now that it's solo, I can see, oh, okay, that's the part. I can play that exactly. And so with those items, you will be set and prepared for Sunday and ready to go.